watch
How?
this?
How?
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 Ew,
How do you watch this?
Dude, I'm gonna pee my pants.
Hi, you're listening to How Do You Watch This, a movie review podcast where each week we recommend a movie in the genre we love, but they don't. My name is Demi and I love horror.
My name is Megan and I love romance.
And this week I had Megan watch The Black Swan.
Yes. So the movie is Black Swan. It was released in 2010. It was rated R.
For obvious reasons.
For obvious reasons. Like, very obvious. It was an hour and 48 minutes, a psychological thriller directed by Darren Aronofsky.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll start my notes. This was quite the movie you gave me. All right, so Black Swan invites us into the competitive and sometimes toxic world of ballet. I had a friend growing up who did ballet, so I was familiar with some of the aspects of it, like the breaking in your point shoes and stuff like that. I was familiar with those aspects of it, and through life I knew about the more toxic elements of it, you know, the bulimia, the eating disorders, the things like that. But it is just very, like, it's really rough being involved in it. And then there's some aspects, and I'm going to talk about the one later that is just very uncomfy. Kind of like, probably partly because of, like, my health anxieties and stuff, where I'm like, please remove your hand from her rib cage. That is disgusting.
I'm curious if being in a dance company is less stressful or the same type of stress as being in a dance school, because I feel like the school has to be more intense. I don't know. And then once you're in a dance company, I don't know if it's still as intense. It probably like is, but I don't think you're dealing with as much insane instructors or
I have no I would be very curious about that as well. So our main character is Nina. She aspires to have a leading role in the company. At the theater, she overhears the other dancers viciously insult an older ballerina named Beth, blaming the season's failing on her age. This sets the stage for everything that comes later, priming Nina for the worst. I think that it just kind of feeds into this later idea where Nina's just kind of anticipating people hating her because everyone's really catty and mean and nasty with each other.
Yeah. I was actually looking, so I found a thread and it was a bunch of people asking, like, hey, people who are actually ballerinas, like, how do you feel about this movie? And a lot of them were like, it's not realistic, obviously, how dance companies are depicted. We're like very supportive of each other. And I'm sure like a majority of dance companies are supportive. I would hope so. So watching this movie, I'm like, I don't think this is very realistic.
No.
It seems very high school-ish, catty. Like, I don't like. There might be one or two ballerinas that are a little jealous, but I can't imagine.
Not to this extent. No. And that's where, you know, I've never had a friend who's in a dance company, but I know friends who were in dance school, and they have such a love for it and like so positive and nice about everyone that they work with, that this just felt like, okay, maybe in some places it is like this, but I don't think it's the norm. I think
and I feel like if I'm already in a company, I'm like, I'll be whatever. I don't care. Like, it'd be cool to be a lead, but I'll literally be a rock. I'm in. So
I admit. So during their practice, a man shows up and suddenly everyone takes off something. I don't know if they took off their tutus or their underwear. Do you know, like when Thomas comes in and suddenly they all stop and remove something.
I think they took off like some sort of shawl or like something covering up because he was touching shoulders.
Okay.
That's what I noticed. They were taking off like
shawls. Okay. I was like, they're getting rid of their panties.
Ew, for Thomas.
He's such a weird looking dude too. Sorry, man, but
yes.
So as they're dancing, he's tapping certain girls on the shoulders, and you can see Nina is like, why isn't he tapping me on the shoulder? And then he announces, if he tapped you on the shoulder, you're going to go about your day as usual. But if you were untapped, you're going to audition for the lead role in Swan Lake. So before going into the principal's studio, Nina witnesses Beth the older ballerina, trashing her dressing room. And after Winona Ryder, who plays Beth, such a small role for her too.
Yeah, and she got a ton of money for that role.
Did she?
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah, girl, get it.
Get that cash.
She sneaks in, and she, being Nina sneaks in to Beth's dressing room and steals her lipstick. The man, Thomas, tells Nina that she is a perfect white swan, but doesn't have the sensuality and freedom necessary to play the black swan, which, you know, I feel like everyone has their own strengths and stuff. And you have to be able to take critique in anything in the arts. Like, yeah, he's not being super nice about it, which I don't love, but I've definitely gone home and cried after a critique or two in art school. So
you know, he wants it to be perfect, right?
Yeah.
So after the previous season, he's like, all right, this has to be it. So and it is a difficult role. Yeah. I watched some videos of the differences. You? Yeah, and it's really cool because the white swan is just very like their head's kind of angled down, and everything is very precise and on point. And then the black swan is very confident and very kind of like wild and abrasive, and she's staring, like she's just looking at you. So it's just a very like opposite vibes, and it's just it's the same ballerina, and you have to be able to portray to the audience that these are two different characters.
It's interesting that they do it with one ballerina when it is two different swans. And I was just thinking, like, why not just have two different?
They're twins. They're supposed to be twins.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So I guess it should, because everyone in the audience can see their face and everyone, you know. But whatever.
I'm sure you could get away with. I'm sure people have done it where it's two different ballerinas, but I'm sure it's a very cool opportunity to.
Yeah, I would think so. That. Really interesting.
Yeah.
So she throws up in the bathroom, which happens a decent amount in the movie.
Lots of bathroom scenes, yeah.
Yeah, lots of bathroom scenes. And I don't need to be in the bathroom that much, you know? So when she goes home, Nina cries into her mother's arms. She desperately continues practicing, ends up like splitting her toenail, and all these mini injuries, dude, were really icking me out. I was having a hard time.
Yeah, I hate, and with feet especially, but her breaking the toenail and like, and they just like focus on every little thing, and I'm like,
yes, that's the
stop.
thing. It's like, I can handle like, a little bit of blood here, there, whatever. But it was just like this like really intense moment every time with her scratch marks and stuff. And I was like,
her scratching,
crawling.
It's so icky. I hated it.
Gross. So gross. So Nina's room, her bedroom seems to be stuck in perpetual girlhood. The walls are pink. There's stuffed animals like staring down at the bed. And her mom comments on the fact that Nina's getting older and she's trying to be soothing, but she's commenting about essentially, you'll be, backup roles and, then you'll be fine. Like you'll at least get to do another dance or two or something. So she's clearly not very confident in Nina, which is super cool mom vibes. The mom sets up a music box for Nina as she goes to sleep, and it really gives off this energy of a 12-year-old girl or maybe even an 8-year-old girl when she is actually 28. We learn later in the movie. So
so it's kind of
strange.
Icky.
Super strange.
Not healthy.
No, super unhealthy. So the next day, Nina puts on the stolen lipstick and goes to speak to Thomas. And Thomas. And he tells her that he picked a different dancer. And she just kind of accepts it. And then he like shuts the door and he's like, aren't you going to try to convince me? And he kisses her and she bites him, which is apparently enough to win her the role. And she gets the lead.
You just had to see her bite.
Again. Yeah, exactly.
You see that she was tough.
So I do wonder, later on, I was wondering how legitimate this scene is, because Nina proves herself to be an unreliable narrator. So I am curious, at what point is the things that are happening to her actually happening, and when is it stopping? So I don't like Thomas at all in general, just because it's very predatory. Yeah. But I'm not sure if he does all the predator things that we think he does.
Yeah. No, that's very fair to assume. It's like how gross is he? Like, because it seems like she has this interest in him, and it's like, is he actually doing all this, or
is it in her head? Yeah.
So it's very much up to the viewer to kind of decide.
Cool. Love that.
I love not knowing.
Yeah. Don't tell me what's going to happen. I won't obsess over this every minute for the next month. Ugh. All right. So when she gets home, Nina walks past her mom's art studio where there's an array of paintings that appear to be of the same woman. And I'm not sure if it's Erica or if it's Nina that she's painting.
Yeah.
I looked it up online to find for my notes because I wanted to sound really smart, and nothing stated.
Yeah, I assumed first watch it was Nina, pictures of Nina, but it could definitely very much be the mother. Because she used to be in ballet, and I think the mother is trying to kind of live through Nina. Yeah. So it could definitely be either.
Yeah. Either way, they appear to move and their eyes watch Nina as she walks by. And Nina has scratches on her back, which we learn throughout the movie is going to continually pop up. Right.
Yeah, it is like a real thing. Like a tick.
Yes. Yeah. It's kind of like there's people who pull out their hair or pick their nails or things like that.
Yeah.
So not surprised to learn that it's a thing. Just hate it.
Yes. Hate it for sure.
So the mom shows up with a cake to celebrate Nina getting the lead role, and Nina's like, I can't eat that. And then the mom gets really dramatic and goes to throw it away because that's the appropriate response.
So toxic.
So toxic. Oh my God. And Nina stops her, and then the mom feeds Nina frosting from her finger, which was almost my deleted scene, but something worse happens. So actually, tons of worse things happen.
There's a lot that happens in this movie. A lot of deleted scenes for me. Yeah, it's just like the relationship between the mom and Nina is like
so
really
icky.
It's really icky. People have theories with
things
I
saw
between
that
them.
There was possible, was she molested or whatever? And I wouldn't put it past it. It's definitely a possibility.
Yeah.
It's gross. It's there's boundaries that are crossed that shouldn't be crossed.
For sure. Yeah.
Especially between a 28-year-old woman and her mother.
Yes. Yeah.
I think a toddler licking icing off your finger is a little different, but who am I to say?
Yeah, and Natalie Portman, her voice was like babyish in this movie, like very high. And she said that when she started, her voice was actually pretty high like that, and she had to vocally train to lower it.
Really?
And so for this movie, she felt like it was like weird to kind of backtrack back
to her voice. Wow, really interesting. Yeah, she played the role very well. I feel like it was a difficult role because she is kind of playing a person who's never evolved emotionally or not still stuck in childhood. She's still stuck as a little girl, and she plays it well. She does play it really well. Her brow is always really furrowed, I noticed throughout the movie. She's like so concentrated. And I was like, girl, unclench.
No, she really did a great job with this role. I was very impressed. Of course, I'm always impressed by Natalie, but
she's great. So more stuff happens. I'm not gonna mention it for time's sake. Travis walked downstairs and said that this film style is weird, and I do have to agree. There is like some strange moment. They do a lot of close-ups and like quick cuts back and forth. It's not anything that I'm like, oh, it's super artsy or different, but it is unusual. It's not what you usually see in a movie. My deleted scene happens, and we're just going to talk about it. Too fast, super fast. She's a hangnail. She rips it. She hallucinates it going up her arm. Dude. Oh my God. I literally couldn't watch it.
I'm like,
dude, I literally looked away, and I kept trying to look back, and the scene takes forever. And I was freaking that one.
And I like forgot about that scene until she started like picking a little bit, and I was like, oh.
My God.
Oh, no. I know what's coming up. Oh
my God. I am...
Delete.
Yes. I feel like when I think about it, it feels like my skin is melting off my skeleton.
I feel like my fingers, I'm like,
Yeah. I just...
Next scene.
Okay. Anyway, so... After a big event, Nina is announced as the lead ballerina, and Thomas invites her back to his place where he asks about her virginity and states that they need to be able to talk about these things. Not really sure that that's the case. Then he gives her a homework assignment to masturbate, And it's just like a horrible power dynamic. I hate this like,
and it's interesting because, like what you said, it's like how much of this is true, but also Beth, the older ballerina, made comments of like, oh, he's gonna, because I forget what he calls Beth,
my little princess.
Little princess, yeah. He's like, oh, he's gonna call you that too, and it's like, okay, it seems like Tomas is kind of a pervert, but like how much of a pervert? But also, Nina very much has that naive, girlish type of demeanor, and like he's just taking full advantage of that. I don't know. Yeah,
it's like super tough. If everything that happens with Tomas actually happens, then he should go to jail.
He should be in jail.
Yeah, he should definitely go to jail. It's gross. I hate all of. There's so much. So there's a lot that happens in this movie that shows essentially non-consensual sexual experiences. And it's just so bad. Like I hate all of it. And I'm like the whole time just like this is pretty shitty.
I have a lot of thoughts about the movie. We'll go over.
So back at home, Nina's mom helps her undress and sees the scratch marks. She gets upset and states that Nina's scratching herself again. And then she just like really aggressively cuts Nina's nails for her.
Oh, I hated that scene too.
Dude, yeah. And they use nail scissors. Who uses nail scissors to cut all their nails? I hated that. So Nina wakes up in the morning and does her homework only to realize that her mother is in the room in a chair. I know, dude. Awful. I wrote in capital letters, nightmare. How freaking horrible.
Oh
no wonder she's not able to develop emotionally in any sort of way if you can't even get alone time in your bedroom. Like,
yeah. And it makes me wonder, like, because she brought up that she had like 2 relationships before, they weren't serious. And I'm like, she has to like be a virgin. Like, how often has she had like alone, you know?
Right. She would have had to go to whoever it is place, and her mom seems pretty controlling over her actions and stuff like that.
Like I freaking doubt that ever happened.
No, I would highly doubt it. And also, honestly, with the way that she's underdeveloped emotionally, it feels like anyone who would have sex with her is taking advantage. It's just
like barefoot all over again.
Yes, yeah, that's exactly it. So at the theater, we learn that Beth, the former lead, got hit by a car. And Tomas thinks she did it on purpose and tells Nina that her dark impulses made her a joy to watch. And I think that this probably gets under her skin in some way and influences some later actions. So
foreshadowing.
Yeah. At her house, Nina ends up finding this pole that she can use to wedge in her door to lock it since she doesn't have a lock on her door.
Yeah.
And her mom is like crying and painting in her studio. We have the scene that I mentioned earlier where there's a woman who essentially shoves her entire hand up inside Natalie Portman's rib cage and is like, your diaphragm's compressed. And I was like, how is your hand up there? God.
Yeah, part of me is like, was that real too?
Right.
Because it was like a oh my God, what do you call it? Not physical therapist?
Yeah, whatever. Right. I don't know, a trainer, I think.
Yeah, something.
Yeah.
Health
related.
Person.
Yeah. What wasn't Natalie Portman that skinny?
She did lose weight for this role.
Way.
Yeah.
God,
she lost
she was
weight for the role.
Tiny.
Yeah. And she's always been tiny, but like she was extra tiny in this because she did lose weight for it. Yeah.
Yeah. God. Okay. So during practice, Tomas sends everyone away and he's like, I'll dance as the prince. And then he kisses her and touches her lady bits. And
he's like, I seduced you. And it's like, did you?
No, not really, bro. It was not great.
That's not seduction.
No, that is not seduction. Is
that what men think seduction is?
If it is, then we have a really big problem on our hands.
Oh my God.
So she kind of seemed into it, but at the same time, I feel like she just has never been kissed like that before. And she is enjoying being seen. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's okay that it happened.
No, yeah. It's this scene, I'm like, it could have been done so differently.
Yeah.
If his point was like, oh, to seduce her, because he's trying to show her like she needs to seduce
Yeah.
prince and the audience, and she's not doing that. So he's like, this is how you seduce. And it's just
But
him
it's
like
not though.
like groping her.
Right,
It's like,
he
what?
like grabs her.
Yeah.
And
It's like, what happened to gentle, you know,
Yes.
like holding the waist, like holding it in
Right.
places that are okay,
That's the
you know,
thing.
as a dancer.
Victorian romance style. Like, I feel like
Yeah.
that's how you should go about seducing in the ballet. You're not going to be making out on stage anyway. So why would
No,
you
like-
use
like,
that as
just
your...
Get up close, like don't actually kiss her, just like get up
Yeah.
close, and where she's like, should I?
Yes.
And it's like,
Yes.
okay, now you're seducing because she's
That's
like
seduction, yeah.
initiating.
Yeah,
Come
don't
on,
attack her, essentially. It's...
seduction 101.
yeah, come on.
Come on, babes.
All right.
Come on, Tomas.
Yeah, just take notes.
Take notes.
So Lily is a character that I have failed to mention until this point.
I was wondering when you were gonna bring her
Yes.
up.
So it's just there's so much that happens in this movie, and
Yeah.
she doesn't have a major role. Like, she doesn't have a big point until this time. She's there. She's this new woman from San Francisco. She's a good dancer, and Thomas kind of keeps pointing to her and being like, "Look how free she is. Look at how loose she plays this.
Yeah.
That's what you should aspire to be."
Mhm.
And she ends up being the alternate for Nina.
Yeah.
But Lily walks in and she tries to comfort Nina, who's really upset because obviously she feels inadequate.
Yeah.
And also she was just sexually assaulted. So
Yeah, that too.
yeah. So Lily insults Thomas, which upsets Nina, and she ends up walking away. There are more gross nail cutting scenes. And the next day, Nina finds out that Lily told Thomas about her crying. And she confronts Lily and is super rude to her. And that night, Erica asked Nina if Thomas is taking advantage. And Nina, if she had a good relationship with her mom, might have taken that opportunity to share what was going on.
Yeah.
But no, her mom is creepy and weird and controlling. So she shared nothing. So we learned that Nina, in her mother's eyes, was a mistake.
Yeah.
And that Nina is 28. And the mom tells Nina to get naked so she can see if she's scratching herself again, whatever. And then the scene is interrupted because Lily shows up, and the mom kind of closes the door on Lily, and then Nina opens it again, sees her. Lily apologizes, and they end up going out together, partly because Nina wants to spite her mother.
Mm-hmm.
She gives Nina some lingerie to put on to go to a club, which she puts on like over a tank top, which is just okay.
So sexy.
Yeah, really, really attractive. And she ends up drugging Nina's drink, but Nina knows the drink has been drugged.
Yeah.
So it's like a very interesting moment. And
Yeah.
then there's this horrible tripping scene. And then Nina comes to, and she's making out with a dude in the bathroom.
Nina. Lily is like the opposite of Nina.
Yeah.
So in regards, like, she is like the Black Swan, basically. So
Yes.
she's, you know, very sexual, and people
Mhm.
like her, and she doesn't really have to do much to attract people. And it's just like that opposite.
Yes. So in the taxi ride home, Nina is kind of like half asleep, not really conscious and awake. She's like no longer like tripping, but she is still kind of
Yeah.
tripping, I think.
Yeah.
She's still under the influence. And Lily taps her leg and then starts touching her in the taxi. And Nina stops her. So again, it's not very consensual. It's just like Nina is not in a headspace for it.
No.
They go back to Nina's place. Her mom is there. They end up locking the door out, and somehow that's fine, I guess. They make out, and I thought it was interesting that Nina is in white underwear, and Lily is in black underwear. So we see the white and the Black Swan. Lily eats out Nina, and her face transforms into Nina's face.
It's Nina and her mom.
Oh God, her mother's face. I
Yeah.
wasn't sure. It happened so fast.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ew.
So that's why people are like, interesting choice.
Horrifying. I hate that.
Yeah.
Great. So she ends up, I don't understand my notes here. She visualizes herself as the girl and gets suffocated. Oh, I think there's like the Lily throws a pillow over Nina's head, and then she wakes up. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So she wakes up late the next day.
Mm-hmm.
The mom didn't wake her up because she's vindictive and, classic. So she gets to the company and Lily is playing as her. And Lily's like, I'm sorry. They needed someone to block the spot. That's the only reason why. Yeah. And then we learn that whole sexual experience was fully in Nina's head. Mm-hmm. Lily had gone back with a guy and had not gone back with Nina. Yeah. Unless Lily's lying. But by the end of the movie, you realize that no, Nina is completely unreliable.
Yeah.
So she goes to the bathroom and she can't throw up. She sees that she's scratching, like she's seeing visions of herself scratching herself in the mirror. And she's practicing more and seeing the mirror isn't following her actions, her movements. So she is like really in a state of psychosis at this point. Then Nina goes to the hospital to visit Beth. She's already visited her once before. This is her second time visiting her. And she puts a note on her table and returns all her belongings. So it seems that not only did she steal her lipstick, she stole earrings. She stole a letter opener, all this stuff that she's essentially returning it to her. And she apologizes. She realizes what, she had done to Beth and how much pain she had caused Beth. And Beth uses the letter opener to stab herself in the head multiple times. Awful. Yeah. I hated that. But then Beth turns into her and she sees her hands covered in blood. She drops the letter opener and she leaves. I don't know. Is this scene fully in her head or did she stab Beth? Like, I don't think Beth is mentioned again.
Yeah, it's possible that it's either Nina stabbed Beth or that didn't happen at all.
Yeah.
Because at this point, Nina is completely like disassociating.
Yeah.
I could see Nina stabbing Beth, but also like not. I don't know. Like, I don't see her really killing another person like that.
At this point, anyway.
Yeah. So I don't know.
All right. So she goes back home and all of the paintings in the mom's studio call her sweet girl. So she rips them off the wall. She locks herself in her room. Her eyes start turning red and her back is opening up with feathers. So like all these feathers are coming out. She's transforming.
Her legs like get all bird.
Yes. Yeah, it's like, my God. Her legs break into like a bird legs. She kicks her mom out of her room, ends up smashing the mom's hands.
Yeah.
And we see that her music box dancer is broken. And I don't know if it was broken the whole time, but I feel like that happened in the movie.
Yeah, the first time I'm pretty sure it was fine. I don't think it was broken.
Yeah. So I don't know at what point she breaks it, but I think it kind of is a testament to her losing that innocence of childhood and whatever.
I think that's exactly
metaphors.
What it is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The director's all about metaphors. Shit like that.
So when she wakes up in the morning, Nina has socks around her hands, and the mom said it's because she was like scratching herself all night.
It's like a baby.
Yeah, it is like a baby. That is exactly when I was little, because I had really bad chapped hands. My hands, I think I told you this. My hands were so chapped, they would crack and bleed. My mom would put Vaseline and my dad's socks over my hands. So I would sleep like that as a little girl. So
oh my God.
Can relate, except it wasn't because I was hurting myself. So just because I have really dry skin.
Dry skin. Poor baby Megan.
Yeah. So Nina's mom had called the theater and said that Nina wasn't feeling well, so she wasn't gonna play the role, which honestly, it's stepping over a line, but Nina is not well. She needs to go to a mental hospital.
She is truly not well.
Yeah, she really isn't. So Nina runs back to the theater. She's like, screw you, Ma, I'm gonna dance.
Yeah.
And so Lily is upset that Nina's there. Or is she? I don't know. Lily is like, what are you doing here? But I don't necessarily believe this. I don't know if this actually happened.
Mm-hmm.
So she goes.
Yeah, Lily's been genuinely nice.
Yes.
To Nina.
Really nice this whole time.
It's like, I could see her being upset because it's like, oh, I get to be the lead. And then suddenly I'm not. So I could see her being upset. But also, like, it does seem like she's being a little too mean too upset.
Yes.
I don't know. I could see either.
Yeah. So she goes into her dressing room to get ready, and her toes are all fusing together.
Oh, yeah.
Which is gross. Yeah. She dances as the White Swan, and all these dots are showing up and like kind of
like goose
manifesting.
Pimples.
Yes, exactly. On her skin. And the prince ends up dropping her, and he blames her because she's freaking out. She's definitely some like minor body movements are happening where she is not fully in her body and present and acting as the White Swan. So the prince drops her, and she immediately is blaming the prince. She's like, it's his fault. He dropped me, whatever. So she goes back to her dressing room, and Lily is in the dressing room dressed up as the Black Swan, and she's being really mean to her, which is very unlike Lily up until this point.
Yeah.
And she ends up smashing Lily into the mirror, choking her out, and then stabbing her with a mirror shard. So she pulls Lily's dead body into the back area because she killed her, and Nina's eyes have fully transformed red, and she's literally turning into the swan. As she is dancing, she is developing wings and feathers, and all that is growing. And it's a very beautiful scene. It is super well done. Yeah. I thought it was just impressive, the CGI and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
She gets off stage, kisses Thomas, and he loves that. I'm like, dude, that's so embarrassing. You're in front of everyone in your company. Like, wouldn't you be like, oh, no, I'm not a pervert. I don't like that. Like, at least fake it a little bit.
Yeah, it's like, come on, dude. You're the boss here, you know?
So then back in the dressing room, Lily shows up and knocks on the door and is like, you did so amazing. I'm so impressed, whatever. And Nina starts freaking out. She's like, why is she here? How does this happen? Nina realizes that she never killed Lily. She actually stabbed herself in the stomach, which is not surprising because she keeps having these moments of transformation, seeing Lily, seeing Nina, whatever. So she goes out and dances like the Black Swan, like nobody's business. It's impressive, amazing, gorgeous, whatever. Yeah. Sorry, she wasn't dancing as the Black Swan. She was dancing as the White Swan because she has her white outfit on. And it's the scene where the White Swan commits suicide, jumps off a thing. She falls, and Thomas comes up. He calls her his little princess. And then they all realize that she's bleeding out, and they call for help. And that's the end of the movie.
Yep.
This freaking movie. Dude.
It fades to white instead of black.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. I mean, now that you mentioned it, I remember it, but
yeah. Yeah. But wow, what a movie.
Yeah.
Rewatching, I was like, wow, okay. I like forgot about so much stuff, and it all like came back. And I remember when the movie first came out, everything that was talked about was the like sex scenes, all of that stuff. And I remember it, I was like, it's just like sad that this was, it was like, it really wasn't a big deal. Like, it's just what, two women doing the women things. And I'm like,
I remember this being such a big deal when it came out, being so sexual, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, it's not that big of, I guess it's because it was almost 15 years ago now. And
yeah.
I just feel like it's not, the nuance involved is so much deeper. And I'm actually like, me being freaked out by the sex scenes was more like, she is not well and she's being taken advantage of.
Yes.
I feel like that should be more the controversy discussed than...
Yeah. And that's what... So Natalie Portman first was a little uncomfortable doing some of the scenes, but because of the context, she was like, no, this is important for the character. Yeah. But after this movie, she's like, I'm never going to be nude in a movie again, because she was very upset that these scenes ended up on like porn sites and stuff.
Oh my God, did they?
Yeah. And so she's like, you know, that's really upsetting. And Natalie's she's been through it since she first started acting, you know, horrible. So for her, she was like, yeah, I'm not going to do any like nudes. She wasn't even really nude in any of the scenes.
Right. She wasn't.
But yeah, so it's just like, was really like upsetting for her. And so she told us to Elle magazine, but I totally get that. Yeah. And that's what I remember a lot about this movie, that controversy, and it's like really not, and it's like this movie's a lot more than that. Like, come on, guys. Like,
it's so much more than that. And I feel like it just feels that's a product of the time, honestly,
Yes.
because we didn't see a lot of queer representation in media in general, and
No.
so it was like a novelty, and so
Yeah.
people
And it
were
was
like, oh
like
my
it was like
God,
Natalie and Mila
sexy.
Kunis, so
Yeah,
it's like two very attractive, well-known actresses. So
right. But like at the end of the day, it was essentially her masturbating. It wasn't even like
Yeah.
it really happened. So
Yeah.
I don't I don't really understand. It was a
Exactly.
fantasy, if anything. And she was
Yeah.
also drugged.
Yeah, and it was like a weird scene, like the
Yeah.
face shape, you know, like it wasn't.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Like
don't know.
I don't know. My impression was just like, wow, something's really mentally going on with this woman. Not like
Like imagine
ooh.
you never seen this movie before, and you find this video on like a porn site, and you're like,
Dude.
what the fuck is this? Boner gone.
Genuinely, yes. No, nightmare. Her face is changing. Like, and then she gets suffocated at the end. Come on.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah. God, you have so much to tell me because I'm gonna have you do fun facts before I finish.
Okay. All right. So, my first, I don't have like a ton. I thought I would have a lot.
Really? Okay.
So, other than what I just mentioned about Natalie not wanting to do nude scenes anymore. So, for this movie, she did have a dance double named Sarah Lane, but Natalie Portman did 85% of the dancing in the movie. So, she trained for like a year before filming.
Wow.
And she paid out of pocket for a dance teacher because the budget was so low for this movie, and she really wanted to do it, and so she paid out of pocket for a private ballet teacher, and she did like 85% of the movie.
Wow.
And the double ended up coming out and saying that she did a lot more than they mentioned and all this, but that was
the double did more?
Yeah, but that was debunked. The director was like, no, like she did.
Really?
He said there are 139 dance shots in the film. 111 are Natalie Portman untouched. 28 are her dance double Sarah Lane. So
wow.
So Portman did a lot in this movie, and she deserves the credit for that. And you can tell, like I was watching, and I'm like you can tell she's not a professional ballet dancer when you see her. Like, I'm like, okay, like she's doing a very good, better than me. But like compared to professionals, I'm like, I can tell it's Natalie dancing.
Yeah. I felt the same way where I was like, there's a lot of zoom ups, and I feel like, okay, it's easier for her to be doing the dance moves if they're only showing her upper body and stuff. Like it doesn't matter about the nuance as much. You can tell it's not as smooth.
Right. I don't think.
I feel like probably the body double felt like she did more because she did all the dancing but maybe wasn't spliced into the film. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that's very fair. And I don't know. I could have looked this up, but I don't know if a year of ballet dancing could have given you enough to dance on point.
Oh, no.
I don't think that's possible. So there's no way they could have. Any on point, I assume, was the dancer.
I would think.
And not Natalie.
Yeah. Unless she did it for like 0.5 seconds.
For like half a second. Yeah, maybe.
God.
But no, there's like no way. So, and then you mentioned earlier with like breaking in the shoe. It's very common for people to do that.
It's such a part of the culture of it too.
Yeah.
Like I
was gonna ask,
shocked.
like, is it like a cultural thing? Because I'm like, what's the point of breaking in a shoe other than it being like, you know, you're making it your own, or it's just like a thing that people have done forever?
So I'm going to speak to it, but this is from a conversation I had with my college roommate back 10 years ago. So forgive me if it's incorrect. Essentially, you don't want to dance on new shoes because they do not have any of the give. There's the reason why they like scratch up the bottom is so that it can grip the ground.
That makes sense.
They tear it up and like break it in so that it's flexible and it can move with your feet.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that the reason why they're not sold like that is because everyone has their own way of breaking in their shoes.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's based on, you know, how you like to break in your shoes. But yeah, you would never ever dance on fresh point shoes. You always have to break them in. So I don't really know if that fully encompasses the whole story, but for a brief like snapshot of it, I think that's it.
Gotcha. It makes sense, you know, with you want to break in your shoes when you buy new shoes, and So
Yeah, I mean, don't usually rip out the soles of my shoes and then resew them in, but hey.
yeah, not to that extent, but okay. So then, speaking of the budget, so the budget for the movie that the director hoped for was about 28 to 30 million, and he only got about 13 million.
Wow.
So that's what he had to work with.
Wow.
Let's see.
I'm very impressed with what they were able to do with that budget.
I know, yeah. So Natalie Portman won an award for this movie, Best Actress, and she's one of the few to win for a horror movie.
Yeah.
And this is like psychological horror, which I think gets a little leeway in awards. And then this was the 5th horror movie ever nominated for an Academy Award.
Wow.
It lost to Inception.
Okay.
Which, you know, I can see.
Yeah.
The other horror movies ever nominated were The Exorcist, Jaws, Silence of the Lambs, and The Sixth Sense, and only Silence of the Lambs won.
Wow. So, wow. Okay.
Pretty interesting. So I don't know how this is still accurate. I don't think there's been another horror movie to get nominated. It's very difficult.
Okay.
That is, I thought I had something else here. No, that's all I have.
Is Parasite a horror movie? Okay, because I know that won awards, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if it's technically horror. There's like elements of it, but yeah, because you haven't seen it, right?
Nope.
Girl, you gotta watch it. I don't know if I can like give that movie to you because I don't know if I consider it horror.
Okay,
but
whatever.
It looked really, yeah, to watch it.
You know what? I'll look on IMDb and see what they say it is.
Yeah, look it up. If it's listed horror, then I'll throw it at you. There's definitely moments. There's a moment specifically where I'm like, this is a horror
psychological movie. Thriller, dark comedy, Korean drama, yada yada.
Okay, so it could be like, I think the Black Swan is like a psychological thriller as well.
Yeah.
Oh, the last thing I wanted to bring up was, so the movie, there was some controversy when it came out because there were a lot of similarities to another movie, an anime called Perfect Blue.
Okay.
And Perfect Blue is by Satoshi Kon. Some people that are aware in the anime community would know that name. He does a lot of very psychological anime. And so there's a lot of similarities, like specific scenes that are almost play-by-play. And their director was like, no, it wasn't inspired by Perfect Blue.
Wow. Okay.
But if you watch Perfect Blue and you watch Black Swan, it's
really? Oh, that's
so it's
weird.
interesting. He didn't say like there was no inspiration, but
yeah.
But it's not the first time. Inception, actually, there's another movie by the same Satoshi Kon who's done
what the hell
called Paprika, and Paprika and Inception have some similarities as well.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Poor guy. He's like
I know.
not getting any of the credit he deserves.
I mean, he's very well renowned, but yeah,
good.
It's like, come on, give some credit. You know, this man is thinking of these cool scenes, and you guys are just taking it a bunch of bombs.
Lame.
So yeah, so it's not, you know.
Yeah,
it's not a copy, but it's similar because both movies, the main character is someone so Nina's a dancer. The character in Perfect Blue, I think, is like a pop star or some sort of dancer in pop, and they both go through psychological breakdowns and they see things that aren't real, and so it's a very similar vibe.
Yeah, so. That makes sense.
But you know, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
And you know, Darren Aronofsky, the director, He's an interesting director. I've seen a lot of his movies, and
Why do you say that?
It's just like, so the way with this movie, how it's like a little weird, and how some scenes were just like filmed weird. He's very much like a pretentious type of director, very artsy.
Okay.
And like, so he did a Mother, which was I don't know. It was like a depiction of the Bible, kind of like Mother, Mother Mary and God, and it just like, I don't know. He's just like, his movies are weird. I feel like he has these ideas and then he just doesn't really reach. I feel like the Black Swan was good. I thought he did a good job with that. But there's some things about this movie where I'm like, Yeah, and also this movie, I feel like it was so it's so female focused, feminine
Yeah.
focused that I feel like if it was written or directed by a woman, I think
Yeah. Might
it
have been
could have been a
better.
little better. Yeah, there are some
Might
scenes
have
where I
actually
was like,
won the
just
award.
yeah, there are some scenes where I was like, just
Yeah.
feels not accurate. Like I don't know. I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
it could have been a little better,
Yeah.
but maybe less
Yes.
non-consensual scenes.
Yeah. Yeah. That'd be great. I would have preferred more consent. I mean, if it had to be in there, consensual would have been preferred, but you know.
Yeah.
Um,
But that's all I have about the
okay.
movie.
My most memorable scene was her transformation into the swan / the murder scene. I don't know. It was hard to pick, but
Yeah.
I feel like they kind of were like right together. That whole end was very
Yeah.
quick. So I would say those combined. Deleted scene was the finger scene, obviously. Everyone's a pass.
Oh yeah.
Everyone's a pass. For obvious reasons, I feel
Lily
like
Lily was cool.
Lily was cool.
But she did drug Nina.
Yeah, that was
Even if it was
not
just
cool.
to relax. It was
Yeah,
not,
and even
it's
if
not
Nina
okay.
knew about it, it's
Yeah.
still you did it with the intention of her not knowing about it, which
Yeah.
wasn't good. So not a vibe. If I had to pick someone to smash in the movie, it would be Lily. But that's it.
Yeah.
The survival chance, I said 5. I'm not really entirely sure what like my survival chance would be if I stabbed myself in the stomach. Plus I would hope that someone would have put me in a mental hospital before it got to that point.
Right.
I think I have a better like support group than she does, and I think people would have. But I don't know. I feel like it's kind of a mixed bag there. There wasn't really any major deaths. We don't even know if she died at the end. She might have survived and been fine.
Yeah, it's another thing that's up to the viewer. Some people, so like the blood at one point looks like it's kind of going down her leg.
Yeah.
And some people are like, oh, it seems like, it could be her breaking into womanhood.
Okay.
Rather than dying, she's, her old childhood self died and she's like a woman now. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
If you want to read it that way.
Yeah. I said I wouldn't recommend it to a non-horror fan. I feel like
intense.
it's very intense. Hearts. Okay.
I'm curious because I don't even know how I'd rate this, to be honest. I think Natalie was fantastic. I really, really thought she was great in this movie. And I don't think it's a bad movie. I just like there's things that I'm like, I don't know. I think I'd give it like half. I do like 3.5, 3.4 is like
I gave it 3.
Okay.
I gave it 3, and I was like, the acting was incredible. There is a lot of depth to it, and I love depth in a movie. But there was just too much non-consensual stuff. It was a little bit too much. I don't know. There was enough icky bits. That I had to kind of take it down a few
like
notches.
icky bits that felt like fluff. I'm like, I mean, I get it. I know she's spiraling, but I'm like, I don't know.
There was so much of the scratching. Like you see her scratches so much. It's like, okay, we get it. She's scratching herself. Ugh.
Please stop.
I don't need to keep seeing it. It's icking me out. So
I think that's a fair rating because it's like I said, I think Natalie did a great job. I don't know if I would have nominated this for an Academy Award. I've seen many other horror movies that definitely deserve that spot over this, but I can see why. People love the psychological horror and the depth and
all that nuance
bullshit.
or whatever, and the sexiness, I guess.
The sexiness, yes.
Whatever.
Yeah, if it's got sex and thrillers,
sex
psychological
sells,
aspects,
baby.
It's in, baby. We got it.
Anything else that you wanted to talk about before we move on?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. So, my movie for you, for Demi. Demi. So this week, I kind of decided to go with something that's a little bit popular at the moment. Thank
you there.
Thank you. It's slightly less on the romance side. I think that later on we might get more romance in part 2, but we are going to cover Wicked Part 1.
Mm-hmm.
And Wicked is a musical, and this is the theatrical recreation of the musical.
Yes.
It's part one, so it feeds the storyline up until intermission that would have happened. And Demi and I, spoiler alert, we actually already watched it together.
Yes.
But we will be recording our episode on that later in the week. And yeah, it's a little different because it's not really romance, but it's got a little bit there.
It's got undertones.
Yeah, it's got it. There's the girl version of a bromance is pretty intense in there.
Or
yeah, I mean, or
romance. I don't know.
Yeah, or romance. Yeah, maybe. Okay, so yeah, that's I'll tell the story. If you don't know what Wicked is.
You don't know what it is.
So if you don't know what Wicked is, which I guess that I live in a different world than a lot of people, because I was like, so many people have been like, what's it about? And I've been like, what do you mean? So I'm going to leave my elitism at the door. Wicked is the story of Wicked is a retelling of the Wizard of Oz from the perspective of the Wicked Witch of the West. And it shows her backstory, and it basically shows that she's not as wicked as everyone seems to believe. It tells the story of Elphaba, who is the Wicked Witch of the West, her going away to school to learn about her magic, her and her roommate, Linda, the Good, and their travels to the Emerald City to meet the Wizard of Oz.
Yep. Yep. So,
yeah,
it's a goodie.
It is.
I feel like we'll have a lot to talk about.
Oh my God. It's going to be like
movie.
And it's going to be a long fucking review, dude.
I mean, luckily a lot of it's taken up by singing. So
yeah, that's true.
We won't be recreating the songs live.
Or will we?
Or maybe.
No, I don't think we can afford the royalties necessary to pay for it.
Yeah. We're not going to get copyrighted here. Yeah. So, yeah. We'll see what happens, but I'm excited.
Yeah. It's gonna be great.
All right.
Okay.
So thank you for listening to How Do You Watch This? You can find us on Instagram at How Do You Watch This and TikTok at How Do You Watch, or email us at howdoyouwatchthis@gmail.com. If you like the show, support us by giving us a review or recommending to a friend.
Yay.
We'll see
Thank you.
next
Bye.
time.